Welcome to Gallery Teachers Masterclass. This is our language masterclass where we discuss interesting, useful, and sometimes confusing grammar and vocabulary, which includes today, where we're looking at the adverb even, right? Useful, sometimes confusing. And we're also looking at the phrases even though, even if, and even so, right? How to use them accurately and confidently. So thank you so much for joining. I can see you start by actually looking, what's the meaning of the adverb even? Even expresses surprise. So this is a quick definition. It expresses surprise, and it can be used to discuss something unanticipated, extreme, or unusual. Here's some examples. Examples are really helpful here. They're very well traveled and have even visited the Galapagos Islands. Okay, so we know this couple or this family are very well traveled, but going to the Galapagos is unusual, right? Most people have not been there. So we use the even to express this surprise. Likewise, for her birthday, she received cards, a bunch of flowers, and also that should be a bunch of flowers, and even a specially made birthday cake with her name on it. Right. So the last part of the sentence, the special cake, that is somewhat unanticipated, right? It's a bit unusual. So we use the adverb even to express this sense of surprise. Now, we need to think about the placement, okay, of the adverb. That's important. So notice when giving emphasis to a verb, even is placed before the ordinary or the main verb, right? We saw that in the example, even visited. Some other examples. I'm so busy at the moment that I'm even working at the weekends. The meal was so delicious. Even Eleanor enjoyed it, and she's a fussy eater. Okay, so we see that sense of surprise, and we also see the placement, okay, of adverb before the main verb. Okay, however, be careful. Even is placed after auxiliary verbs, modal verbs, and the verb to be, if to be is the main verb, just like we see in these examples. You can't be in love with her. You don't even know her well yet. Okay? You don't even, so don't auxiliary before. Okay, the study course is really convenient. You can even complete it online. Our new office is fantastic. There is even a games room for break times. Okay, so notice these verbs before even in this case. Now, another note, we place even or negative not even before the section of the clause or sentence we want to emphasize. Examples, even using spell check, I made some spelling mistakes on my CV. Okay, what was the surprising information? That I made spelling mistakes on my CV. Oops, right? So we place even using spell check before this. Another example, even a child would know that was a silly idea. Okay, so we're emphasizing that was a silly idea. Even a child would know. Now, I want to focus on another use of even, which is for making comparisons. Okay, you've probably noticed this quite a lot. We can use even with comparative adjectives and adverbs for added emphasis. Okay, examples. This restaurant is even more expensive than the one we went to last month in central London. Okay, so there we have the surprise, and there we have the emphasis, even more expensive. Another, I was really excited about the concert, and it was even better than I had anticipated. Okay, so notice even before the comparative adjective. So now we're looking at our 3 confusing phrases, even though, even if, and even so. Okay, so we're going to spend a bit of time on these. First, even though, right? This does cause students a lot of confusion, but let's have a look at it together. So even though is a subordinating conjunction, right? That is, it introduces a subordinate clause. And even though introduces a contrasting information in a subordinate clause that shows the statement in the main clause of the sentence is surprising or unexpected. Think about it this way. It shows that something is happening or happened in spite of our expectations. So something does not meet our expectations here. It's different. It's surprising. You're probably already familiar with although. Even though is very similar to although, but expresses, if anything, a more surprising contrast. It's also similar to despite the fact. So here's a nice example. Even though he never revised, Rupert managed to pass the exam with a good grade. Okay, so what's the surprising information? Rupert managed to pass the exam with a good grade. Why is this? Why is this surprising? He never revised. Okay, he never studied. This is the surprising information. It's a subordinate clause, and we introduce it with even though. Some more examples. I'm really sleepy today, even though I got a good night's sleep last night. Many people drink sugary drinks, even though they're bad for our health. So the main information, I'm really sleepy today, and many people drink sugary drinks. But this subordinate conjunction, even though, expresses why this is somewhat surprising, unanticipated, and doesn't meet our expectations. So next, we're looking at even if, okay? So again, this is a subordinating conjunction, like even though. But notice, even if emphasizes that regardless of if something happens or not, or is true or not, another situation will not change. It introduces a subordinate clause and has the same meaning as whether or not. Okay, so definitely let's look at an example. Notice this example is a bit like the first conditional, right? Even if you run, you'll probably miss your train. Even if you run, you'll probably miss your train. So notice, even if we've got a conditional, even if you run right now, so you'll probably miss your train. You will not catch it. So that's the situation that will not change. You can run, you can walk, you can stay still. You will miss your train, even if you run. Okay, so regardless whether or not you run. Some more examples. You can imagine this person sounds a bit frustrated. I'm not leaving this office until someone helps me, even if I have to wait all day. Even if we ask really nicely, they're unlikely to give us a discount. Okay, so these are situations that will not change. This person won't leave the office, and the other person probably won't get a discount, even if these situations, even if these conditionals. Now, finally, even so. Now, this again causes students a lot of confusion. Even so introduces surprising, contrasting information in the context of what has previously been stated. Now, you could say, well, that's really similar to even though. But notice the grammatical difference, the structural difference. Even so introduces a main and independent clause, okay, not a subordinate or dependent clause. So in this way, it functions differently, grammatically, it functions differently from even though. Notice here, she practiced and prepared a lot before her driving test. Even so, she failed her test, unfortunately. So this is surprising information in the context of what we previously stated, that she practiced and prepared a lot. So the surprising information is that she failed And this is introduced as a new sentence. We can do that with even so. We can start this sentence with a comma, usually following even so. Another example. Now, this is one sentence, but there are two independent clauses here. They weren't wealthy, but even so, they managed to pay off their debts. Okay, surprising information, good in this case, but we're using even so because it is surprising in the context of what we previously stated. Okay, so that is even so.